Oh, hey guys, my name is Moses. Behind me is my 2003 Suzuki Jimny. We generally call it Big Red. So why did I buy this car? Well, it was my first four-wheel drive and a great gateway into the world of four-wheel drives. It's a very simple car, not complex at all, but I am also a person who works in the city, and so I needed a car that would be able to get in and out as easily on the beach as it can through traffic. When I first got this car, it was bone stock, grandpa spec. The only thing it had done to it was that the exhaust was upgraded. Other than that, there wasn't even roof rails on it, let alone a roof rack. Over the last 2 years, I've really enjoyed spending the time modifying this car to my needs and adding the little nuances that makes it so unique. I mean, other than the color. So let's address the elephant in the room. I'm a taller and larger guy. How do I fit in the car? Surprisingly well. The car has a lot more space inside than what it looks like. Obviously, you're a little bit more comfortable on those longer drives in a bigger car, but at the end of the day, for most of the trips we were doing, I was very happy in that car. Spent a lot of good times in there and a lot of good memories. This car has taken me so many awesome places. I've been able to explore Queensland, a lot of our beautiful national parks, but I've also done plenty of beach runs. So names that we will all know: Double Island Point, King Kuna. I've been to Bribie in this car, and we went to Moreton as well, and we went to Fraser as well. I've only actually gotten stuck twice in this car. Once was my very first day beach driving, and the second time was at Nugala Rocks on Fraser. And I dare say I'm probably not the only car to get stuck there, but generally speaking, this car has kept up with a lot of my friends, and I've been able to go all the places they've been able to go to, tackled the Glasshouse Mountains, but couldn't quite do Big Red, but that was more because I didn't want to try, because let's be honest, most cars probably can't do there either. Alrighty, enough chit chat, let me run you through it. Alright, well, let's start at the front. As you can tell, the front has been a little bit modified. So I've got the Bullbar from Genuine 4x4. This was a package deal I actually got from one of the guys on the Jimny community, one of the best communities to be a part of, and I got a ripping deal on it, and it allowed me to have a place to mount my UHF and my front light bar, which are obviously very, very pivotal when you're four-wheel driving. Comms, you don't want to be the guy who's got a handheld and can never be heard, so it's great to have that. And the light bar, small but mighty, a bit like the car itself. On the front here, you'll also see I've got the angry eyes on the car to add a little bit of extra character to the car and make it maybe a little less cute. Secondly, here we have the trusty eBay no brand Snorkle. I have used this thing many a times. We've done quite a few washout crossings in this car, and I've never had a drop of water in the airbox. And it was actually the second mod that we did on this car. It was a lot of fun. Really, really scary cutting into the guard, but I did do that, and you know, after you sort of start with that initial scratch, you think, oh yeah, no, well, there's no going back now. So drilled it in, and a good bit of fun. This Snorkle was 85 bucks on eBay, so this is, I think, the cheapest mod that is on this car, but yeah, still has done a lot of good work. Now on the top here, you will note that I've got an OCAM roof rack, and this OCAM roof rack was the very first mod that we did to this car. I think it was less than a week of having this car, found this and chucked it on, and obviously it's the roof platform for all the things that sort of house my touring and light setup. Now on the top here, just like on the front bull bar, I've got an Ultimate 9 light bar. Both of these are slim light bars, but the combination of both of them gives a sleek look to the car, because being such a small car, I couldn't risk large spotties, but I've still got plenty of light when I'm driving at night. Never really have come up short. Now on here, if you're a four-wheel driver or a camper of any sort, you will know this brand, kick ass, and I've got one of their shower tents. I know it looks like an awning on this small car, but I promise you it's not. Yeah, this has come in handy, both because with the Jimny, you've obviously got limited space, and so there's not a lot of stuff that you can carry. Having a shower tent that acts as a bit of an extra where I can change and sort of get dressed also really, really helps when you're camping out of a single person swag. Now the Nomad 270 awning by Chaos. This is an absolute godsend. When you're looking to add an awning to a Jimny, a regular awning looks a little bit like a jousting stick because it's about twice the length of the car. These things are actually made for small wheel-based vehicles, and the beauty of it is it's actually a 270 awning as well. So I'm able to wrap all the way around my car, which covers my living area that I sort of have out the back of the car, as well as where I put my King's swag as well. I think it was 570 or 580. I can't remember. Down here are the wheels and tires, and you may be able to recognize that these aren't the same wheels and tires that come on the stock older model of these Jimnys, but actually are the wheels and tires from the newer model of the Jimny. I got them honestly because I like the look of them better than the steel wheels that came with the car, and they've served me well. They are just regular highway terrain. They're technically called all-terrain 90s, which is 90% on-road, 10% off-road, and that's probably a fair ratio of my use in this, and that it is my daily driver, but definitely does do the beach trips. And to be honest, these have never really left me short. I think I've been stuck only a couple times, and yeah, most of the time it was an easy push or snatch out and we're good to go. So at the back here we have the exhaust. This is the only thing on this car, the only mod on this car rather, that I didn't do myself. And this came with the car. It's a sports exhaust to add a little bit of extra oomph to a car that otherwise doesn't really sound all that good. But then also underneath here we've got the Tough Dog suspension lift kit installed. So that's a 2-inch lift, and the main reason I got that wasn't really for the clearance. This back bar is actually pretty heavy. It comes in at around 35 to 40 kgs with a spare tire on it, maybe even a little bit more. And the back was really sagging, especially when I loaded up with my camping gear. So having that extra tension on the rear suspension just to lift it up a bit so I wasn't hitting those bump stops every time we went over a sand dune has really helped in the driving conditions and makes for a lot smoother of a drive. While we're at the back, let's talk about the rear bar. So this I got once again from one of the gentlemen on the Facebook forums, and it adds a really solid and rough look to the back of this car. It comes with a spare tire carrier, work light holder as well, and tow point and recovery points here at the back. So really it's all you need from a rear setup when you're talking about the Suzuki Jimny. I couldn't really ask for too much more. Alrighty. Now on the business end of the car, honestly there's not too much that's changed here. I've got a bit of a steering wheel cover for it because the old steering wheel was a bit dodgy. I've got a dash mat. I like the look of them inside this car, and I've also got a Bluetooth stereo because like I said, this thing's from the Stone Ages. But other than that, it's mostly stock in here. Over to my right here, I do have my switches, one for my light bars and another one for my UHF that I just plug the UHF connection in. It's a remote power on, power off, because I've actually sneakily hidden the unit underneath here. So that's it. Let me show you the touring setup. This is the living end. This is where, when I am camping, I spend the vast majority of my downtime in. So I normally have my table and my chair set up here. As you can see, I've got a little bit of a funky setup going here. So I've got the XTM drawer in here, and this thing has served me well. This is another ripping deal on Facebook Marketplace. I was able to get it for, I think it was about 70 bucks, and it fits the vast majority of my gear in it on its own. Additionally, another great Facebook Marketplace find, the Dometic 30-litre drawer fridge. Now, I know these things are becoming a lot more popular now that King's has come out with a 60-litre, but I tell you what, we were rocking the drawer fridge before it was cool. Also in here, I've got my battery monitoring system, I've got my solar input, as well as a few 12-volt USB sockets and a 12-volt SIG socket for charging my devices while I'm away camping. Under the front passenger seat, actually, that's where we are storing a slimline kick-ass, I think it's a 120 amp hour lithium, 120 amp hour AGM battery. So if you want, we can have a look at that as well. The big question, where am I storing this 120 amp hour battery inside this tiny little vehicle? Let me show you. So here it is sitting under the front passenger seat. A lot of people think you can't turn the AGM battery sideways, but that's actually not true. Definitely did a lot of research before putting this in sideways on the car. In an AGM, they are fine to lay on their side. Take that to kick ass, and I've been using it for the last 2 years and it's never skipped a beat, so I'm pretty happy with that as well. These things are made to be used not just in four-wheel drives, but in marine situations as well. And if you know anything about a boat, they're never upright all the time. But I mean, that's not that different for four-wheel drives as well. So through here, we've got a little panel that hides all of our 12-volt spaghetti. It's got our fuse board in there as well as our DC-DC charger. We've actually got a switch for the rear work light in here. And the main reason for that is when you're reversing at night time into a dark campsite, it's quite annoying to have to do that without any light, and so I've put the switch somewhere that I can reach from the driver's side to be able to turn that off, turn that on and off at any second. Mate, you've got a small car. Why have you left an extra seat in the back? That was for one really critical reason. At the time in which we got this car, my wife and I were actually trying for a baby. We weren't sure when Bub was going to get here, and so we still wanted to have at short notice somewhere to be able to put a car seat for when the baby did come, as we started looking for a new car. So that's why I've left this in there. But to be honest, because it folds down flat, I've not really felt as if I've missed out too much on space. When I'm going for trips away with the lads, obviously there's no car seat in there. I fold that down and it carries my boxes and my swag in there. Now I'll show you one little secret compartment. In here is a perfectly sized little catch for your Bog Roll. And if you've ever been away camping and you need to do a number 2, you always know where to go. So my favorite mod on the Jimny is actually the angry eyes that I got as a present when I first got this car and I started modifying it. I think it adds a little bit of attitude to the car that maybe represents the driver a bit well as well. The mod I'd say I couldn't live without, and I would recommend for everyone who's looking to get into camping and four-wheel driving, is the fridge. I've got a Dometic 30-litre fridge in there and it works an absolute treat. But because of the uniqueness of this car, it actually took some modifying both to the car and to the frame around it that we were looking to mount in there. And so I've got great memories of doing that mod as well as using that fridge to hold all of my food. This may not be a Toyota, but oh, what a feeling.